Animal liberation activists were recently informed by locals of goats left in a field without food or water and in appalling conditions at a farm in Surrey. Various groups and individuals went to help, and what we found was heartbreaking. There were many dead goats that had simply been left to rot alongside the live ones. One carcass was found trapped in the wire fence, meaning the poor soul who once inhabited it endured a slow, agonising and terrifying death whilst the others looked on helplessly. A few of the activists called the RSPCA, in whom I have as little faith as I do in the police and all other such institutions. And true to form, the RSPCA bureaucrat was useless, doing little more than waste time and prolong the animal's suffering. According to her and her superior, a field full of dead, dying, dehydrated and emaciated goats didn't warrant seizure of the animals. Disgraceful, but so predictable because it's the same response every time. I could make a whole other video about the RSPCA, how harmful they are to animal rights, what they're really about, but I do understand the activist reasoning behind calling them, and if nothing else, it proved exactly why animal rights activists are forced to take direct action, and exemplified why so many of us are critical of the RSPCA and believe they should be disbanded. Of the goats that were still alive, all were emaciated, some were pregnant, lame, had ringworm and other parasites, signs of pneumonia. They were starving hungry and had no water on a boiling hot day. They also had no shelter, which is really important for goats. With a bit of detective work and a solid team effort, the farmers were tracked down and eventually agreed to relinquish the animals. But only on the condition that we wouldn't share the name of the farm or images of the farmers who, according to locals, are already very unpopular in the area. And I can see why these disgusting abusers don't want their shame-ridden faces all over the internet. The neglect that they've inflicted on these animals is entirely inexcusable and barbaric beyond all comprehension. And don't think for a second that they relinquished the animals due to a sudden sense of compunction. It was simply the realisation that they'd be liable for animal cruelty charges, which the RSPCA are of course pretending to look into, and knowing that we'd get their evil faces out for the world to see. Had locals not reached out, I've got no doubt they'd have left every single one of those goats to rot. Unfortunately, cases like this are extremely common. Animal farmers typically have the consciousness and emotional intelligence of a rock, which prevents them from viewing animals as anything but commodities. Rather than the soulful, inquisitive, pure beings that they are, these non-human animals may as well be inanimate objects to farmers. In my experience at hundreds of farms, the already inadequate welfare standards we have in this country being met is very much the exception and not the rule. Anyone paying for animal products has blood on their hands, just like these farmers, who wouldn't be breeding animals were there no demand for their flesh and bodily secretions. I'm a woman of my word, so I won't be sharing footage of the farmers or naming them, but they should be certain that their business is marked, and the ALF will be watching out for any other animals so unfortunate enough to find themselves in the hands of these foul, subhuman scum. If one more neglected animal is found, then they will be well and truly exposed. I'm really proud of the dedicated activists who stepped up for these precious beings, and immensely grateful to the Farm Animal Sanctuary in Evesham for giving the goats a wonderful forever home. As previously mentioned, these goats are seriously sick and there are 19 of them, so their vet bills are going to run into thousands. The farmers are the reason these animals exist, and in my opinion, they should be liable for the costs of their lifelong care. But of course, they have no sense of duty or integrity whatsoever and are only concerned with covering their own arses. This means the veterinary costs and ongoing care of these animals falls to the sanctuary, who are reliant on public funds. If you would like to help these goats and ensure the sanctuary can continue their amazing work for animals, please follow the link in the video description to make a donation. I know times are tough, but every penny really does count, so please do share whatever you can comfortably afford and know that it really does make a difference.